Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I hope you'll stick around and like and subscribe. I'm Latoya, and in this video, I'll be making a rotisserie chicken, baked macaroni and cheese, and some collard greens. So stick around and you'll see just how I do that. So you can see I have my smoked turkey, collard greens, cheese, macaroni noodles, sazon, salt, and my chicken, and we're going to start making it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is grab my seasoning, which is some parsley. Then I'll grab some pepper, some onion powder, some garlic powder, some garlic and herb, Mrs. Dash with no salt. I'm going to grab some turmeric. And lastly, then I'll grab some red peppers. I'm gonna put my smoked turkey leg on to simmer for about like an hour and a half. I'm gonna add some seasoning, and then once that's done, I'm gonna chop it up to add that to the collard greens. So I'm gonna begin to season the chicken. So what I do is I take the packaging off and I pay attention to how much the chicken weighs, because I got a new rotisserie machine. My old one got kind of old. So on the side of it, it lets you know pretty much how long you could cook different things for, you know, how many minutes per pound. And this one is round about maybe 7 pounds. So I'm gonna round it off to 7 pounds so I know when I put it in a rotisserie how long I have to cook it for. But I buy these chickens that has a little pop out thing, and it lets you know when the chicken is pretty much done, even if you get the timing wrong. So I prefer those. So now I'm just gonna season it with my seasoning. So I have my sazon that I'm gonna just use on both sides. Then I'm gonna add some parsley, some pepper, some garlic powder. I'll add some no sodium Mrs. Dash. I'll add some turmeric, some onion powder, and then low sodium salt, and I'll just repeat for the other side. Now just grab some string that you use to tie up like roast beef and stuff. And I am horrible at this, but I just make sure that the wings aren't flapping around and the legs aren't either. So once I put it on a rotisserie, you know, nothing will be touching the heating plates. And once that's done, I'll put it in the refrigerator for it to marinate for like an hour and a half while the smoked turkey leg is cooking. And that'll be that. So whenever I'm working with meats and poultries and stuff like that, I always clean the sink and the countertop with some disinfectant. So I'm using this Clorox. I let it sit for a while, then I'm just going to clean this countertop off. And next I'll be rinsing the collard greens and chopping them up, and you'll see exactly what's the technique that I used. here you just see I snap off the big ends of the greens, and I wash them. I inspect them to make sure there's nothing on them. And I don't know what's changed since my grandmother used to do this, but I don't find like the bugs and a bunch of other things on them. But you know, I just wash them thoroughly on both sides because the water tends to run off from the greens. And then I just stack them on top of each other with the biggest one at the bottom so I can roll it up. And then I just cut down the line and make a bunch of different strips. And then I'll continue with this until all the greens are cut up. So this is the rotisserie machine that I got. It's in a replica of the old one that I had, but this one is just in gray. And it's pretty cool. It comes with a stand for you to be able to slice the meats if you wanted to. And you just sit this piece right here on top. And you can remove this rack and use that to cook all different types of things, you know, vegetables. And this piece right here and this one locks in, and you just put them inside. And that's how you use it. So I'm going to put the chicken on the poles and make sure that it's centered, and then put the top on it. Then I'll just put it inside the rotisserie oven. Now here is a little chart I was telling you about that tells you how long you cook different things per pound. So I just pay attention to that, and I push the button, and the first one is for normal, where it will have the heat and everything else. So I set it for the 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is a little over because I'm going to let it simmer with no heat for about 15 minutes. So this is on its way to cooking. Now I'm going to start making a big macaroni. I'm going to set the oven to 375 and let that preheat. And now the chicken is cooking, and this is what it looks like. Nice and juicy. The smoked turkey leg is simmered to where I want it to, so now I'm just going to take it and chop it up, and then take some of the juice that was cooking with it and put it back in the pot and let that cook down a little bit longer. And then I'll add that to the collard greens. I'm gonna add some low sodium salt to some water and put the macaroni noodles in once that starts to boil, and then I'll get to making the macaroni and cheese. Since it only takes about 35 minutes, it's the last thing that I make, and the process has begun for this. So now that there's like 13 minutes left, I'm gonna just let this rotate to distribute the juices evenly while I make the macaroni and cheese sauce. So what I do is I add 1 cup of evaporated milk. I use 1 cup of 2% milk. I use some pepper, some low sodium salt, and I make like a cheese mixture. And then I add the macaroni noodles on top. I mix that up. And once that's done, I take the cheese and the macaroni that I made, and I put it in a pan. Then I actually add a little bit more pepper on top and some cheese, and I put that in the oven to bake for like 35 minutes. And that's how that's made. when I used to make mac and cheese before, I used to use eggs as well, but I find if you don't use the eggs, it pretty much comes out the same without like the eggy taste. So I also use these disposable pans when I'm making things like bacon macaroni and cheese and lasagna, because it's kind of hard. You got to let it soak. I don't have a dishwasher, so that becomes like a soak and wash process, which I don't do. I just get some disposable ones that you can recycle, and that's it. So I add the cheese and I add the pepper, and then now it's into the oven. The greens, I'm just going to use some Mrs. Dash no salt, garlic and herb. Then I'm going to use some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some pepper. And then I'm going to take the smoked turkey that I chopped up and put that on top and let that mixture in together and kind of like steam down. I don't like the collard greens with like a bunch of liquid, so I let it boil down to pretty much it's not that much liquid left, and then I just let this steam and slowly cook when mixing it up every now and then. Chicken is done. I just cut off the thread that I use to hold the wings and stuff together, and then I just cut the chicken in half, and that makes it easier to give the sections to whoever likes the breast or whoever likes the thigh and wing, etc. So cut this up, and then the chicken is all ready. The collard greens are all ready. Now the last thing I have to do is take the macaroni and cheese out of the oven. And then it's all done. So that's it for this video. If you've made it here, please put a comment down below with a smiley face to let me know you made it here. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you guys around. Bye.